After completing the quest, The Faithful Squire, in which we successfully destroy the wraith of Lord Vlindrel, Sir Lathon congratulates us, saying,
Sir Roderick is avenged, and you have recovered the sword of the Crusader. I'll return to the Priory and give my fellow knights the good news. Farewell.
As Lathon returns to the Priory, we then depart on our own quest to reconsecrate the sword of the Crusader, now befouled by Beric's spirit. However, as we enter the great chapel of Arkay in Cheydinhal, we're met by a disturbing scene. Again, we find the priest slain, but this time by Auroran assailants.
What's the matter, getting tired? Whoa! Die, cur!
Post destroying the foes, our quest then updates reading. Umaril's Aurorans have been destroyed. Cheydinhal Chapel is safe, for now. I can now reconsecrate the sword of the Crusader to Arkay on the high altar. Before doing so, we check on those slain by Umaril's minions, starting with the high elf healer Otesse, slain between the pews of the chapel's great hall.
Blessings of the Nine. I'm Otessa the healer. By the grace of Mara, I offer advanced training in the restoration arts. I'm happy to be of service in any way I can, in any place I can. There are so many who need help, and so few to offer it.
We next find sprawled by the altar a high elf pilgrim, Erendil, who in life was Arkay's living spirit.
I'm Erendil, living saint of Arkay, and the chapel's chief crusader against the wicked practice of necromancy. It's a scandal that the Mages Guild has tolerated practice of the black arts among its members for so long. The current Archmage, Hannibal Traven, is true and bold to prohibit necromancy, reversing the Guild's shameful past policies of official tolerance.
Aye.
With the sword in hand and stepping over the fallen, we dip it in the cleansing pools of Arkay's altar, and our quest reads, the sword of the Crusader has been reconsecrated. I now possess all 8 of the Crusader's relics. I should return to the Priory to consult with my knights about how to attack and destroy Umaril. Before leaving for the Priory, it's then we're beckoned by the surviving priestess, Gruana, who thanks.
I'm in your debt for saving the chapel of Arkay from being defiled by those foul creatures. I closely supervise the priests and healers of Cheydinhal Chapel, so they might more closely approach the sacred ideals of our faith.
With all the Crusader's relics now in our possession, we have still yet to be free of the malady the gauntlets of Stendar bestowed upon us, sapping our precious fatigue, yet, regardless, we must press on. Arriving back at the Priory, we're stopped out front of the main building by Sir Thedred, who informs.
Lord Crusader, the prophet is here. He's just arrived. He seemed to know you were coming, told me to wait for you, and here you are. Come. He is preaching to the assembled knights in the chapel. You should speak to him at once.
Following Thedred into the chapel, we see indeed the prophet preaching by the altar, with all of our brothers in arms seated, and a new face, a Bosma, Brelin, who greets.
Sir Knight, allow me to introduce myself. I am Brelin of Sylvanar, at your service. I come to offer myself as a knight in service of Auriel, or Akatosh as he is known in Cyrodiil. I bring nothing but my skill with the blade, which is not inconsiderable, and my devotion to the Lord Auriel. Will you accept me, as unworthy as I am?
Although we can say you are not worthy, we need all the bodies we can get at this point and say, I accept. Welcome to the Order.
I am honored to join the Order under your illustrious command. Excuse me while I go to the armory and attire myself as befits a Knight of the Nine.
As we leave the newly knighted Sir Brelin to collect his gear, we look over all of the knights who have joined the Order and the prophet before them, and momentarily turn to Sir Erelda, who guides.
The time has come, Crusader. You should speak with the prophet.
Sensing the end of our trials draws near, we approach the prophet in front of the altar, and he proclaims,
You have stepped from the humble shadows of obscurity and into legend. No feat you have accomplished in your life compares to what you have become. You are an embodiment of Pelinal Whitestrake, the bane of Umaril the Unfeathered. The time has come for you to fulfill your destiny. Umaril lies hid in the ancient fane of Garlas Malatar. You must go there and destroy him.
So, I am ready then.
No. Should you face Umaril, you would suffer the same fate as Pelinal. But times change, and even the shape of the divine itself must change with it. Where once there were 8, now one more stands with them, and they have become 9.
You mean Talos?
Aye! With the apotheosis of Tiber Septim, the face of the divine was transformed. Talos ascended, and the 8 became 9. So, although you wear the armor of the gods, it is incomplete, a relic of the old ways and the old gods.
Look, honestly, I don't know much about the old gods.
Then it is past time that you learned. If you would serve the 9, you should know of them. Have you heard of the god Talos, one of the 9? And surely the name of Tiber Septim has not escaped you? Talos and Tiber Septim are one and the same. Rather, Tiber Septim ascended to godhood upon his death and became Talos. So, although you wear the armor of the gods, it is incomplete. A relic of the old ways and the old gods.
How do I destroy Umaril then?
As a proven guardian of this realm, and a warrior the likes of which have not been seen in millennia, Talos grants you his sacred blessing. With the ancient gifts of the 8 and the new gift of the 1, you are ready to face Umaril.
But what is this new gift of the 1?
Just as the 8 aided Pelinal of old, now the Ascended One, Talos, who was Tiber Septim, provides his blessing to you, the new Crusader.
It's then the prophet bestows upon us the blessing of Talos, and we can ask, what exactly does this blessing do?
It will allow you to follow Umaril into the spirit realm upon his death. It will allow you to destroy him, body and soul, utterly and for all time. You must first kill his living body. While beyond the power of most mortals, this is only the lesser of your 2 tasks. His Daedric nature allows his spirit to escape into oblivion after death. Oh, this is what Pelinal learned upon defeating Umaril the first time. But you can do what Pelinal could not. The blessings of Talos will allow you to follow Umaril's spirit when it leaves his body. This you must do, and you must not fail. You will not, because the 9 fight with you.
So we have to kill Umaril on the physical realm, and then in a spirit plane, thanks to Talos' blessing? We have so many questions. Like, I want to know about Umaril's spirit specifically.
When Umaril joined with the Daedra, his spirit expanded beyond this realm. His physical form can travel between realms, but his spirit is bound. When his body is destroyed, his spirit travels back to oblivion and is reformed in the fires of creation. With the armor of the gods and the blessing of Talos, you will be able to follow him where Pelinal could not and destroy his very spirit. Once his spirit is destroyed, he will be completely obliterated, erased from all realms of existence.
Curse Meridia for granting him such power. And tell me, Prophet, what do you know of this Garlas Malatar?
Garlas Malatar was the westernmost outpost of the Ayleid Empire. It watched over what we call the Abecean Sea. Since his return, Umaril has taken Garlas Malatar as his lair. That is where you must seek him out.
And finally, we should learn, what kind of foe is Umaril? Even with the relics of the Crusader, can he be bested in combat?
Umaril cannot be bested in his physical form by any normal means. His blows can strike down the mightiest of warriors in a single stroke. The Eight created the relics to withstand Umaril's fell power. Do not attempt to face him without this divine protection.
Indeed, it seems we would suffer the same fate as poor Sir Roderick. The prophet further elaborates on the power of the relic, saying,
You have achieved what no knight since the legendary divine Crusader has achieved. You have reassembled Pelinal's holy armor and weapons. You are truly the divine Crusader reborn. You are ready to face Umaril and destroy him in the name of the Eight and One.
Although the prophet seems to know nothing about the fatigue that still plagues us, thanks to recovering Stendar's gauntlets, we must see this crusade through and say, that's all. I'm ready.
Your knights will assemble at Garlas Malatar and await you there. Gather all those who you deem worthy. Not all who enter those halls shall return. Those who fall in service of the Nine will live on forever in the halls of their fathers. I wish you well on your quest, Crusader. We are depending on you.
With no more words of wisdom, the prophet resumes praying to the Nine. Inside our spellbook, we see the Blessing of Talos has been added, which imparts the Blessing of Talos for 30 seconds, Fortify Strength 20 points for 60 seconds on self, Fortify Endurance 20 points for 60 seconds on self, and Drain Speed and Agility 15 points for 60 seconds on self. Not sure what to fully expect, we cast the Blessing of Talos on ourselves and we feel good. The drain fatigue spell that had cursed us has been lifted, as if the divines had seen our fate and have rewarded us in full for putting our faith in their wisdom. Emboldened by our new divine allies, we step outside the chapel, seeing our men gather and wait for us to lead the charge towards Garlas Malatar. However, we have one stop first as we plumb the depths of the Priory Undercroft for perhaps the final time and speak with the spirits therein, starting with,
Hail, Commander.
We can hardly believe it, the ghost of Sir Beric?
You redeemed my soul from the evil that had ensnared me. For that, I am forever in your debt. The old bitterness that seemed so important to me in life. What is that now? How to weigh that against my very soul?
But how? We battled you, and you slew Sir Caius.
The evil took hold of me the day that I slew Sir Caius on the Priory steps. I baited him, knowing his temper, and then I killed him when he drew against me. I killed him in cold blood with the holy sword itself. I could have disarmed him, or wounded him, but a cold pride had taken hold of me, and so I slew him, and went to war, and never returned. The evil grew upon me until I became cruel, a tyrannical ruler, a terror upon the land. In death, evil held me even tighter than in life. Thanks to you, that all is behind me. Sir Caius and I will go to Etheria side by side, as of old. The gods are truly merciful.
If there's one thing we won't question after today, it's the mercy of the divines. But we must know, how was the sword of the Crusader corrupted?
I took the sword down with me into evil. You have redeemed us both. The gods smile on such deeds, noble knight.
Does that mean the Knights of the Nine are complete once more?
The Knights of the Nine stand together once again. I would not have thought it possible. We owe you a great debt. May the Nine guide your way.
Standing but a few feet from Sir Beric is none other than the man he slew, Sir Caius, who says,
Greetings, Sir Knight.
Greetings, Sir Caius. Tell me, how do you feel about seeing Sir Beric again?
You put right the evil that I began through my own weakness. Sir Beric is once again part of our fellowship, and shall be forevermore. Go with virtue.
It takes a strong man to take full ownership of his actions. So lastly, we then speak to their leader, Sir Amiel.
I am at your service, Commander.
Tell me, you had bad blood with Sir Beric. What do you make of his return?
While you may have performed greater deeds, none have meant more to me than your redemption of my friend, Beric. Soon we will all finish our long-delayed journey to Aetherius, and Sir Beric will be among us as of old. Thank you. May the Nine guide your way.
With the blessings of the Eight and One and the spirits at peace, we depart the Priory with our fellow Crusaders in tow, heading towards the last outpost of the Aliads and the final confrontation with Umaril, the Sorcerer King.
Hail, Lord Crusader.